I think a common question that we're often asked is, what's your favorite dive, or what's the best dive site in this area? And I'd kind of like to turn that question around and talk more about one of the dives that had the biggest impact on me as an individual and our efforts here. And that would be here in Esmeralda with Bill Phillips, the late Bill Phillips. And in 1996, I'm pretty sure it was, we were shown a cenote close by to here called Canales. And that's where we did the first dive into this section of Oshbelha. And we brought a single tank out and, saw enough on that one dive to know that there was a big cave system here. And the folks that brought us out that day told us if we had continued on the path that we would come to another cenote called Esmeralda, and that's where we are today. Esmeralda, we kind of waited, I think it was until 1997, and we came back out on the trail, just hiked out one day, came right here to the edge of the cenote, and Bill and I sat here and we had a picnic, and we looked down, and as we were having the picnic, my knife fell out of my pocket and bloop, fell right into the water. And of course, that's the only excuse we needed to come back and go diving. We had to rescue my knife, of course. We weren't at all concerned about the enormous cave system that potentially lay here. So we made arrangements and hiked back with double tanks and came back. And the initial dive that we did here was, I think, in February 1997. And our actual original line marker is still down here. And in terms of an impact, that one dive set in motion for us, in conjunction with the dives that Bernie and Chris were doing from the beach. It set into motion Oshbelha and all of our future projects here. The first dive that Bill and I did here started right here. We had to jump into the water and then scramble out over here. And we ducked down below the surface and went in, and immediately were just overwhelmed by the magnitude of the size of not only the cavern zone here, but also the ensuing cave passage that we subsequently named the Maya Skyway. And on that first dive, I think we put in over 500 meters of line and just through this absolutely enormous, not very decorated, but just enormous passageway leading to the northwest. This is Cenote Yashkai, and this is, of course, what Bill and I connected into from Cenote Esmeralda. And again, the experience of surfacing here and having the fish all around us was just a absolutely magical experience, a treasured memory for me. And Yashkai then became, in the ensuing year, in 1999, we actually had a base camp out here in May of 1999, and we moved our equipment out here by horseback and lived out here for about 2 or 3 weeks and extended the cave system out towards the northwest and connecting into other cenotes, and of course that meant that we then cut trails to those cenotes and ended up exploring out of them, which became the manner in which we explored much of Oshbelha. We found Yashkai underwater, of course, and sometimes it's a lot easier to find a cenote from underwater than it is on the ground. And we knew it was here because of the photograph, and we had physically been here from underwater. The next challenge for us was to find it on land, and that took us about 3 or 4 attempts, if I'm not mistaken. And just, GPS wasn't that good back then. We had a compass, we had a topographical map, we had a theoretical waypoint that we put into the GPS that, we thought that that's where it was. And, after several attempts, we finally found it. And again, that was magical, just kind of hiking up through the jungle, and then all of a sudden you see kind of a break in the vegetation and this beautiful crystal clear water out in front of you. And so once again, Bill and I always would come out here stocked with a good picnic, sat down and just reveled in that moment. And from there, we marked the trail we had come in on, and then we, with all of us, Chris, Bernie, Fred, Danny, myself, Sabine, and Bill, we made that trail wide enough to get all the horses out here with our gear.